Hi, I'm Colleen Crone, and I will be your astrologer for today's March astrology. If you'd like to book an annual astrological reading, please go to my website, thecoolcrone.com, click on the Book Now button, and you're done. To view all my services, click on the Services button. If you prefer, you can always send me an email at coolcrone444@gmail.com. For the second month in a row, we have no retrograde planets, yet another sign that things will move forward precipitously during March, more so than in February. The aspects in February were subtle, and they involved Neptune, especially around the new moon, which means either that people were keeping their ideas and opinions to themselves, or they were deluding themselves into believing some pretty far-fetched ideas. March is not February, not by a long shot. At the very beginning of March, we have Saturn changing signs, which is a very big deal. Now, Saturn bounced between Capricorn, the sign of its dignity and rulership, and Aquarius, its classical sign of dignity and rulership, since March of 2020, when it first entered Aquarius. That's why it has felt like one step forward, two steps back for so long. If you recall, March 2020 was the beginning of COVID-19 lockdown in the U.S. Saturn represents restriction and responsibility, so not surprising that when you lock something down, Saturn is involved. At the time, Saturn was in Aquarius, the sign of humanity, so Saturn locked us down for our own good. This month, we come to Saturn finally moving into Pisces, the sign of healing, compassion, intuition, and also fantasy, delusion, cloudiness, and dissolution. More about Saturn later. Pluto will also change signs in March, and this is what is getting so many people excited about what may occur in March. Just like the Pluto U.S. natal return, however, the effects are not going to be felt on a single day. We have been feeling Pluto's effects in Capricorn for 15 years. Pluto rules plutocrats, and in the sign of Capricorn, the plutocrats are on top. But when Pluto goes into Aquarius, the plutocrats will fall, and not that they will just fall out of sight and power. They will fall with a spectacular bang and mark momentous historical events. So, will we see all the plutocrats fall on March 23rd when Pluto changes signs? I'm afraid not. But you will see and feel a tectonic shift in the energy, especially in this country, as Pluto, for the first time, begins to move past our natal Pluto and find its footing in Aquarius. It will take until almost the end of 2024 before Pluto will stay in Aquarius for its 20-year run in that sign. Think back to 2008, and you can begin to connect the dots, the moments that were ruled by Pluto. This pattern will continue until the end of 2024, when we will see that all or almost all of the plutocrats will have been diminished. Will this end all corruption? No, but it will take a giant bite out of that apple and leave in its place a new governmental body. And I hope it is one that is more tolerant, with equally distributed wealth for all. Or maybe it will eliminate the need for wealth and laws in the forms we now recognize and replace them with something else entirely. One can only hope. For the second month in a row, we have no retrograde planets. This is really good. This means that there is nothing to hold you up or stall progress on projects on any front. So you should see people really getting things done over the next few months. Planetary Ingresses. So what I'm going to do in this video, rather than listing everything, is I'm going to actually talk about each planet moving into the different signs, because there's quite a few of them. Let's get started with March 2nd, when we have Mercury entering Pisces. When Mercury goes into any water sign, your intuition increases because you become more sensitized to the energy around you, mental and physical. You may also find that practicalities fall away, as creativity and imagination take over. Watch out for becoming too unrealistic or believing unrealistic, fantastical things. You will find your interest in caring for others and your own compassionate responses to a sad story are increased. Use your sixth sense, but be careful of allowing people's negative energy, including those who would take advantage of you, from taking over. Fortunately, this transit will only last 2.5 weeks. Next, on the 7th, we have a lot happening. Saturn will enter Pisces, but it's also the date of the full moon. On March 7th, Saturn will move into Pisces. This will initiate an era where we will reflect upon lessons learned from the pandemic. Pisces is the end of the zodiac cycle, and Saturn is the teacher and the taskmaster. But the sign Pisces softens this tough teacher with a huge dose of compassion. Saturn in Pisces will give us ways to work with our dreams, fantasies, spirituality, healing, and imagination in a concrete way. As Saturn first dipped into Aquarius when it began its dance with Uranus, and the square they formed over and over again until October of 2022. This square, or 90-degree angle, highlighted the strain and struggle of progressive, forward-thinking people with those who want to keep things the same. Saturn represents what we must accept, whether we like it or not. This means responsibility, constraints, and burdens. These can be imposed by people, authorities, or just plain circumstances. Uranus represents our need for freedom, independence, and the future. So we have had a clash between those who lean into the future and those who love the past. Saturn is what we have acquired. Uranus is what we can change. On March 7th, 2023, when Saturn changes signs, it will change the relationship with Uranus to one that is much more harmonious. When Saturn goes into Pisces, it will be there for about 2.5 years. The square that has plagued us since 2020 becomes a light and harmonious sextile, which is 60 degrees or 2 signs away. Also, during the initial stages of the sextile, the North Node will be close to Uranus, motivating us to move toward what we want and what we want to achieve in our lives. Changes that you want may become possible in a very concrete manner through Saturn. Initial changes with Uranus will come to fruition easier if you can execute necessary actions through Saturn. As Saturn moves deeper into the degree of Pisces, more and more opportunities for growth and change will present themselves. Also on the 7th, as I mentioned, we have a full moon. It's going to be a full moon at 16 degrees Virgo, 40 minutes, at 12:40 p.m., so 40 minutes after noon. I will talk about this much more in my full moon video, but for now, rather than going through the very long list of aspects that take place on the full moon, I will explain the effects of the many aspects to help us gain a clearer idea of how this month will impact the U.S. and our leaders. The next aspect I want to talk about is Venus entering Taurus. Venus here is in her dignity in Taurus. You may find yourself thinking about commitment, love, faith, and trust in regards to your relationships. Good food, a beautiful home, and creature comforts are what you crave now. And seeking out means of security, financial and material, are top priorities now. Venus in this sign will eschew superficial flirting and look for love in a very deep, meaningful, and committed way. Relationships get a wave of date nights if that has been missed of late. And then we have Mercury changing signs again, a little over 2 weeks after it went into Pisces. It will move into Aries. Mercury in the first fire sign speeds up our minds and makes decision-making quick. You'll feel more competitive while making these decisions, as if your decision-making ability makes you better than the next person. Be careful of these snap decisions and hasty actions. Your impulses may not be the greatest indicator of what to do. This is a period to make progress in things demanding eye-hand coordination. Keep safety in mind, remember that impulse control, but steer clear of risky behavior. On the 20th, the Sun enters the sign of Aries. Each year, the Sun entering Aries heralds the spring equinox, which is why 0 degrees of Aries used to be the start of the calendar year. Obviously, astrologers were much more important back then. The Sun in Aries helps everyone to feel the change of the season and the dramatic change to the energy. Gone are the vestiges of winter. We toss out the woolen socks and break out the open-toed shoes in honor of the warmer weather and to release our feet from the bondage of winter boots. I will be including a complete discussion of the Sun in Aries with the new moon in Aries in a separate video. This video and this month of March is so chock full of important events that I don't want to give Aries Sun or Moon short shrift. So, tune in to the bonus video for March that will satisfy all you fire signs who will get your well-deserved due at that time. On March 21st, we will have the new moon in Aries at 0 degrees 48 minutes at 1:22 p.m. in the afternoon. Coming just a day after the Sun moves into the first fire sign, this new moon will be powerful with the energy of spring, and you will get all my info on that in the bonus video coming later this month. On March 23rd, this is what everybody has been waiting for. Pluto in Aquarius. Now in 2008, Pluto entered Capricorn. This is when the world went into a global depression. Pluto is going to move into Aquarius on March 23rd, 2023. This is the first time that Pluto has been in Aquarius since 1775. Yes, that's right, the year before the signing of the Declaration of Independence, which was during the battle for our independence against Britain. Aquarius is the sign of the people, society, the world, humanity, inventions, technology, and innovation. Actually, anything that is unexpected or unique in any way. Pluto in Aquarius will have a profound effect on the world, society, and humanity. Pluto represents transformation and regeneration, so something must end so that something new can be reborn. Pluto is death and sacrifice, so something significant must finish or complete before Pluto will allow our society to be transformed. What we do, what we have been used to, all of this is going to be transformed. Since many will still resist change, it'll be painful for them, yet it is all necessary. Pluto in Aquarius will square Uranus in Taurus and Jupiter during 2023. When Pluto retrogrades back to Capricorn, this will ease up, but the impending square for Pluto-Uranus will be felt in the period between March 23rd and June 12th. Around June 12th is when Pluto will return to Capricorn. This square with Uranus will be a very, very wide one, so the impact will not be that strong, but nevertheless, we will feel it. Suffice it to say that Pluto transits do not just pass by. They always make a dramatic, intense impact no matter what. And keep in mind that Pluto moves very slowly, so these transits take their time and last quite a while. If you would like more tidbits about how Pluto affected our country during its passage in Capricorn, please see my 2023 astrology video, which will be linked at the end. On March 25th, Mars will enter Cancer. Mars in a water sign unleashes emotional outbursts, tender feelings, and vulnerabilities that one wants to protect at all costs. Every moment holds the promise of a deep, hurtful wound or a loud burst of energy directed at whomever may be near. This means you may want to keep a little distance between you and anyone who holds the possibility of creating tension or argument. Check yourself to make sure you are not responding to things out of proportion to the situation. You may just be ultra-sensitive. If anything has lingered from when Mercury was in Pisces, you may find yourself letting someone have it who doesn't deserve it. Focus on doing things with and for your family and around the house. As long as you're careful with tools, focusing on handyman projects around the home would be a useful activity at this time. Because Pluto is so close to moving out of Capricorn, and because it is hovering over its natal placement, it will influence everything that is happening. Pluto has been affecting us for the last 15 years, but now the alignment has perfected, and as Pluto begins to move out of this alignment, we'll begin to see the results of Pluto's destruction. Likewise, Neptune is also affecting its natal placement in the U.S. chart by sitting 180 degrees across the sky. These two slow movers will bring about some very important influences. In general, Pluto has been causing long-suppressed issues to come to the surface, which we have seen in the form of revelations in our news on a daily basis. Still, Pluto demands a sacrifice, and at the time of this video, not enough sacrifice has been made. In order to bring out the transformation that Pluto demands, there will need to be a stronger push to root out the causes of this corruption and the players who are pushing fascism and authoritarianism in our country. Neptune's influence is coming to the rescue. Although this planet is often an omen of war, in this situation he is bringing about acceptance on the part of the public and our government in general, that our country is not only imperfect, but that it was built up on the basis of some very dark and difficult tenets. Racism, slavery, misogyny, classism were all baked into our much revered Constitution. Only by changing this document will we begin to free ourselves of these dark and difficult concepts. After that, we can address the economic inequality and the violence that persists today, which is the lever that keeps widening the gap between the haves and the have-nots. Saturn will trine Venus on March 23rd, which will mean that that's the same day, by the way, that Pluto enters Aquarius. This will mean that we look at the attitudes towards money and women and take seriously the problems that have persisted since the beginning of our very long history. This will begin a long road to acceptance of this long-preserved sentence of poverty for women and all people of color, which will allow us to commit to new laws which will ameliorate this inequity. Still, there will be those who find it hard to accept. These will be most likely the same people who find it hard to accept that this is even true. In time, they will have to, but know that there will be much emotional display, much hand-wringing and clutching of pearls before they can be persuaded. I'm going to interpret what will happen surrounding the two major changes, Saturn going into Pisces and Pluto going into Aquarius, because those two events are accompanied by a tremendous number of aspects. I've already discussed what it means for Saturn to move into Pisces, and I've analyzed the planetary aspects surrounding that day in comparison to our country's chart, because I think that is what people are waiting for. We want to know how this will affect our country, which in turn will affect our lives. As Saturn changes signs, we will find that the feeling of hope increases. Change seems possible. People become more flexible, and there will be new opportunities introduced that encourage the prospect of change. Saturn changes signs on the same day as the full moon in Virgo. Those who are opposed to change will be in a really bad mood, and they may take out their bad mood on women in their vicinity, any women who may be within their power to punish in some way. Alternatively, they may retreat and refuse to cooperate in any way with the changes that are proposed. There will be impatience and irritation, even though they're bored with the same old that has been happening. Some may be overly confident and reckless in their decision-making or behavior, and we may hear of several people taking this to an extreme degree. These overconfident people may explode with passion that causes them to react with an almost animal instinct to fight or run, leading them to have accidents, battles, and clashes with the police. For some, there will be a transactional quality to their relationships as they figure out a way to get what they want by behaving with assertive, spontaneous actions. Their need for attention will drive them to their decisions either to act out or to make deals. During this time, many will find that their minds are spinning with ideas, causing even more impatience And because they're frustrated with the daily routine, they become careless and restless when carrying out their daily jobs. The need for excitement will be especially strong at this time, but for some, it will allow them to remove obstacles and garner support for their passion projects. For others, it will lead to more reckless behavior. So that is the roundup of astrological info that I have for you for the month of March. Stay tuned for my full moon in Virgo video, and later in the month, my new moon in Aries video. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Colleen Pearl the Cool Crone, your astrologer. Take care.